Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diverse Goddess. It's Hannah, and I know I've been gone for a long time, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about why I've been gone so long and what I've been up to for the last couple of years and what's been going on. And I'm also going to be talking about the future of this channel and what I have planned for it, so keep watching. So in the last couple of years, a lot has happened, and some of you have followed me know that one of those things was that my father passed in January 2022, and he passed from a 2-year ordeal with brain cancer. And I've never been that close with my family to begin with, but I felt his illness had brought our family back together at the time, and it did for that period of time, and so I was very hopeful. However, a lot of things didn't change in the dynamics of my family or what was left of my family. So at the end of 2022, going into 2023, I finally decided to cut what was left of my family off for good, which is my mom and my sister. So I will touch on more about cutting my family off towards the end of this video. But even though I had never been that close with my family to begin with, except for the last 2 years when my dad was battling brain cancer, I never had an issue with my dad, but because of family dynamics, it made it very hard for me to have a relationship with him kind of prior to that. So I wouldn't say forced my way, but I made sure I was there for at least those last 2 years. And even though I had never really been that close, it's still a feeling of loss, and so it's still a lot to digest, and so I had to kind of digest all of that because, again, like I said, it's still a feeling of loss. But I do not regret my decision, and I will, like I said, touch more on this towards the end of this video. So on top of cutting my family out of my life for good, I myself have also been dealing with some health issues, and I've actually been dealing with some health issues for a long time, but I just didn't know it. It was earlier this year, actually, that my body had a breaking point, and so I had to finally take care of some things, and one of those things was mold issues. I had already been being treated for mold, so I've been treated for mold for a couple years now, so that wasn't the main thing. I was training for a 5K run, and I couldn't even run for 2 minutes without being out of breath, so I knew something was very wrong, hence my body having a breaking point. And so I finally looked into it all, and what showed up was I had 2 strands of Lyme disease, I had another autoimmune disease type thing, and I had like 12 to 13 inflamed lymph nodes due to the inflammation from the Lyme disease and the mold combined. And my energy levels were also very, very low. And actually, my doctor was even surprised that I was even able to run some marathons or even run any races that I have over the last several years, because I actually have had this Lyme disease, mold issues, and the autoimmune thing for at least 6 years, if not more. So I have run 2 marathons since then, so the doctor was actually quite shocked that I was even able to have the energy to do that, because of what it showed, I guess, in my results was that my energies were so low. And that was one thing, is I had very chronic fatigue, but again, I know how to, or I did push through my tiredness a lot of the time. So anyway, I am being treated for that. I've had 6 treatments out of the 9 that I need to get. And so, needless to say, I'm starting to feel a lot better, and my energy is coming back. But I still have a few more to go, so I'm not 100%, but I'm at least definitely way more functional than I was. Furthermore, earlier this year, I have been working on another aspect of this brand. I have been working on what are called junk journals. And yes, I love to create, but I also feel journaling is a great way to express yourself. And I will be incorporating the journals into the overall vision of my brand, which is the Diverse Goddess brand. And so I have a separate TikTok for the junk journals at DG Junk Journals, and also a YouTube for them at Diverse Goddess Junk Journals. So that, in a nutshell, is basically what I've been up to for the last couple of years. I've been putting a lot of focus on healing, not only emotionally but physically as well, and I've also been able to get more direction and vision for this channel. So that brings me to what is the future of this channel, or what do I have planned for this channel. And I'm still going to be talking about diverse topics, don't get me me wrong, but I'm going to be focusing more on the dynamics of being a scapegoat. Because myself, I was a scapegoat growing up in my family, and so I'm going to be opening up more about my personal life and my personal journey, and especially my healing journey. And I'm going to be going into all the dynamics that go into being a part of a narcissistic family system. And so like myself, like I said, I was a scapegoat. My sister was the golden child. My mom was the narcissistic mother. And my dad was the passive yet gentle parent. So I'm going to be breaking down all the roles that go on in a narcissistic family dynamic. So not only am I going to be breaking it down on a micro level, meaning my own personal journey and experience, but I'm going to be breaking it down on a macro level. So the dynamics that go on in the world system. So for example, I'm going to be talking about women like I always have, but I'm going to be going into it more because women have been the scapegoats of the world, for example, and men have been the golden child. Children as a whole have been the scapegoats of the system, and the adults have been like the golden children. African Americans, for example, have been the scapegoat. So I'm going to be talking about all things scapegoat and the dynamics that go into all of them on a micro level and macro level. And I'm also going to be talking about each role, and I'm not going to be talking about them in a way that like, oh, one is good and one is bad. I'm going to be talking about each role because each role needs its own healing if the world is going to get better. So yes, I'm going to be focusing more on all things scapegoats and not just the practical aspects of these things, but also the spiritual aspects and the healing aspects, because that's what I'm good at. And as I mentioned, I'm not going to be looking at these roles and assigning like who's good and who's bad or who's evil and who's a saint or whatever. I'm going to be looking at all these roles in a very authentic and raw way, because every role kind of has its pros and cons, and every role, like I mentioned, needs their own healing, period. And so just to touch on my work a little bit and my vision, I've been on my journey for a long time now, and I've had a lot of ups and downs regarding my work. I've had to take a lot of breaks at times. I've had to do other types of work just to support myself in the meantime. But anyway, I've always worked towards this vision that I'm working on for a very long time, and especially the empowerment of women. I started off doing photography. I had a whole diverse goddess portrait series where I photographed women in their divine beauty. And it's not that I don't do photography anymore, it's just especially after COVID, it didn't make a lot of sense. So even though I'm focusing on all things scapegoats, the portrait series still makes sense. Plus, they have been a great creative tool even for my junk journals. And also why I created my junk journals is because part of the healing journey, the best way and one of the tools that you can use to heal is journaling. And so that's one of the reasons why I started creating the junk journals like I have. And I also wanted to mention that I also published a book 10 years ago, this book here, The Power of XX, The Female Bible. I published it back in 2014, and I unpublished it shortly after because at the time I did not feel the world was ready enough for what I had to say or share in what was in the book. And I also didn't know if I was strong enough to be able to handle a lot of the stuff that might come with it. But yes, I have been on this journey for a long time, and that should also tell you around how old I am, that I'm a lot older than a lot of you probably think. But yes, I published this in 2014, and I actually hand wrote the book 10 years prior to that. So I have been on this journey, yes, for a hell of a long time. And I have been on my healing journey for a hell of a long time. And so I definitely feel I am more than ready now, and I'm going to be redoing this book. I'm not going to republish this book, but I'm going to be redoing it and calling it The Female Scapegoat. So that is something that will be coming. I'm not going to tell you when because it's going to take me some time, but that's also going to be a part of this work that I'm doing. So I wanted to share not only my photography a little bit and the book that I had wrote almost 10 years ago, just to show you that I have been on this journey for a long, long time. And I've had a lot of hurdles, like I said, ups and downs. And it hasn't been a straight line at all. But a lot of this stuff I have understood since I was a small child. And I do definitely think that's one of the reasons why I was scapegoated so hard, but also like seen as a black sheep I've been seen as a black sheep my entire life. And so even though I was very gifted as a small child, I still had a lot of healing to do. So you can be very gifted but still have a lot of healing to do. And so yes, I've also not only had my journey in terms of my natural gifts and my natural talents, but I've also been on this journey in terms of my healing. And so I feel I have a lot to share that will be beneficial for you guys. Oh, I should mention one of the reasons why I'm not just republishing this book, because the world is probably more ready now for this book, but it's because there's a lot of creators out there already who are basically having the same information that I had 10 years ago that I had in this book. There are some people out there already that's already kind of doing that. That's why I'm kind of shifting mine to more the scapegoat, and also because I have personal experience with being a scapegoat. So that's something that I feel is going to be more personal, and I can open up more about that to you guys and it'll make more sense. But the divine feminine is definitely rising, and I've always understood that. Like I said, even as a small child, I understood a lot of shit that is now finally coming to the forefront, and so I'm starting to look less and less weird, but still it has not been an easy journey. So we're going to be diving into all things scapegoats, into all the things spiritual regarding that. We're going to be looking at all the healing aspects, and like I said, I created my junk journals because journaling is a huge part of the healing process. So we're going to be diving into all of it. But before I dive into all things scapegoats, the next couple of videos that I upload are going to be more of a diverse topic type of thing. They're not going to have anything to do with being a scapegoat, because in my everyday life, I have people ask me my perspective on AI. So I'm going to be doing a video on AI and give my perspective and insight and hopefully ease some of your concerns. And also I'm going to be doing another video after that one that has more to do with what's going on in the world a little bit and why it's kind of happening, with like the exposure of everything, especially like Diddy. Like in the past we had Harvey Weinstein, we had Epstein and all those things. And I did mention, I believe it was in my mask culture video, that the masks are going to be coming off more and more, but I am going to be touching on that topic after the AI video, just to kind of let you guys know what's kind of to expect for the future and why it's all happening, and hopefully also ease some of your concerns. So I'm going to be doing those two videos coming up next, and then I'm going to dive into all things scapegoats. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up today's video, and I apologize for taking so long to come back, but now you know why I was gone for so long, because life happens, health happens, and you also know what to expect going forward with this channel. So don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And also, like I mentioned, I have a TikTok and YouTube for my junk journal, so don't forget to check those out and subscribe as well. And thank you again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!